MLS Aces Podcast, episode 264. This is your host, Tom Sweezy, and this is going to be a little bit of a different way we're doing the podcast this week, and it's primarily my fault, so I do want to definitely start with that. If you are in the East Coast, if you're on the East Coast or in maybe even more of kind of northern central United States, then you've definitely been impacted by some of these fires going on in Canada. And I want to, definitely throw my condolences out there to those who are being heavily affected by it. I'm being affected by it, but I'm definitely not going to say heavily. I'm just having some internet issues, and it's not allowed for Jason, Sam, and I to have the best podcast experience and bring you guys, the listeners or the viewers of this, the MLS Aces podcast in its full normal form this week. But instead of just kind of canceling it and calling it a week and not really recording, I felt it was best to have each of us give a little bit of a monologue, a solo kind of dialogue with our thoughts for you guys. And you'll hear Jason probably give an explanation of this as well, and everything like that. But we're still trying to figure out how this is going to work, if this is good, if you guys who are listening to this or watching this prefer us doing this rather than missing out on an episode for a week for whatever reason, we can't record, all in one sitting or whatever it may be. Let us know. This is something we can definitely do in the future. But I think the main important reason of why we wanted to especially record this week and make sure that we didn't miss out on anything was obviously the big news of the day, was the big news probably of the MLS season and of maybe even the next close to 2 decades in Major League Soccer, is the signing of LIONEL MESSI, the GOAT, to Inter Miami. It's no official deal, right? We don't have what a contract looks like. We don't have anything like that. But it has been announced through Inter Miami social media, through Fabrizio Romano, through people over at CBS Sports, and coming out of the mouth of the GOAT himself. LIONEL MESSI has decided he wants to play, his next club. He wants to play next with Inter Miami in Major League Soccer. And this is going to happen as a free transfer coming this July. So the 35-year-old Argentine superstar is going to be making his way stateside for the next chapter in his career. And this has been a long, long road to get here. I think, I doubted it a lot. I'm sure other people doubted it a lot as well, especially when reports first really started coming out about this in, I would say, 2022, that the real possibility of Messi coming to Miami was a thing, right? So, first of all, he's the GOAT. He's the 2022 World Cup champion, Copa America champion, multi-time La Liga winner, multi-time Ligue 1 winner, multi-time UEFA Champions League winner, Club World Cup winner, Ballon d'Or winner, various other, league awards, cup awards, individual awards, and everything else in between, right? Again, LIONEL MESSI is arguably the best player to ever play the game, and if you don't agree with that, he's arguably the best player of his generation, for short there. But obviously, if you've listened to this podcast before, I think something that I really do tend to kind of lean into is the player mindset first, how things benefits the player rather than the league or an owner or a coach or a team. That's really where my brain goes first. And I think when you're breaking down a new signing, whether it's, any quote unquote size signing for any team at any point, there really is many things to factor in and storylines around it. And, first and foremost, the player, LIONEL MESSI, what's he getting in this? Well, like I said, there is no official contract. There is no official deal. Obviously, I think base salary wise, Messi's going to be a designated player, so Inter Miami are most likely going to be paying him the highest salary within Major League Soccer. I don't think that is any type of shock there, right? But on top of that, there's also various reports coming out from The Athletic as well as other sources around U.S. soccer saying that Messi is going to get opportunities for percentage of profit sharing from the MLS season pass through Apple TV, as well as a percentage of profit from MLS's partnership with Adidas. Also, similar to the David Beckham deal back in 2007, Messi's also going to get the potential to acquire a future MLS expansion club, most likely from what is being reported out there at a set lower price, similar to when David Beckham got the opportunity to buy a future expansion club at that time for $25 million, I think it was, which obviously ended up being Inter Miami, where David Beckham's now pulling the next Beckham deal and pulling in Lionel Messi to Major League Soccer. So at the end of the day, I think financially, this deal, isn't going to be anything that the Saudi Arabian League probably could provide. I think, reports are coming out that the last and final offer that the Saudi League offered Messi was a yearly contract of $1.5 billion, which is absolutely ridiculous. So I don't think this money is going to touch that, but at the end of the day, this money's still going to be on top of what he's made in his career and the sponsorships that he already has in his career. And it's going to be a very long time, rest of his life type money coming through this MLS deal as well. So that's first and foremost, is Messi's going to get paid. Good for him, and he totally deserves it. I think second, he still gets to play in a league that is much more competitive than the Saudi League, where he has a popularity, he has a fan base, and he has a large fan base within the United States and North America, and he gets to play in a growing league. He gets to play in a league that I think is growing and gaining respect worldwide, and him coming to the league is only going to really grow that credibility and grow that respect more. But we'll get to my thoughts on what this brings to the league in a second. But I think this only really benefits him and kind of offers him maybe a new challenge in his career as well, right? Inter Miami and MLS is not PSG and Liga and UEFA Champions League, or Barcelona and La Liga and UEFA Champions League. It's not, right? At this point in time, it's not. But this is maybe a new chapter in his life, especially with, Copa America coming up, with that potentially being, being played in the United States, with the 2026 World Cup, that being played partly in the United States. I think this just offers Messi a whole new kind of growing chapter in his life. Now, I think, obviously this benefits Lionel Messi 100%. Let's kind of go into how this also benefits Major League Soccer, because I was able to speak with one former manager within Major League Soccer today about the deal and kind of chatting a little bit about Messi, and pretty much what he told me and what I think is the obvious, what I agree with and what many people are saying is more eyes, more attention, more credibility, more attendance, and obviously he was joking around saying ticket prices are going to go up as well, which we are seeing, and I'll definitely touch on that in a second too. But all of it is true, right? People who have never watched MLS or have joked around about MLS or don't give a shit about MLS are now going to pay attention to Major League Soccer because Lionel Messi is playing within the league, and they're going to be Inter Miami fans, and they're going to be checking in to see if Messi scored today, and how Inter Miami's doing in the league table or in cup competitions or whatever it may be. And like I said before, Messi coming does bring more credibility. It brings credibility that Major League Soccer is a good league, that Messi, who I think he had like 42 goal contributions last season with PSG, is now coming to this league. It is far from a retirement league, and he's bringing that quality, and that this is the next chapter and time in his career for sure. Mentioning, kind of going off a little bit of what I mentioned before, of signing Messi also comes along with the World Cup coming to the United States in 2026. Messi and that World Cup coming is all going to grow Major League Soccer astronomically in the coming years. So what does that mean? Because we saw this a little bit when David Beckham signed for the Galaxy in 2007, that with it, again, came more eyes, came more money, more ticket sales, more jersey sales, more sponsorships, more credibility, all that stuff. We're just going to see that at an even advanced level now in 2023. But one thing that we did see with the David Beckham deal was the introduction of the DP rule, the designated player rule, which allowed the LA Galaxy to go above the salary cap at the time to sign David Beckham and give him, pretty much as much money as the LA Galaxy wanted to give him at the time. And now, obviously, this DP rule has allowed for some of the biggest and brightest stars within this league, looking at Josef Martinez, looking at Robbie Keane, Didier Drogba, Ignacio Piatti, Diego Valeri, right? Like some of the best players we've ever seen in this league's history have been a designated player at some point. And that's coming from what David Beckham changed when he arrived to LA Galaxy in the summer of 2007. Now, we can't sit here and predict what's going to happen. I guess we can sit here and predict what's going to happen. We can't sit here and say for certain what's going to happen, what new rules are going to happen and everything like that. But there are a lot of, potential new things that can pop up from this. Does the salary cap get a major increase now because there is so much more money coming into the league? Is there going to be a minimum spending floor because now there is more money coming into the league? Owners have to spend, X amount of money to stay competitive with the rest of Major League Soccer. Are we going to remove the salary cap altogether, which I think is something that many pundits, journalists, fans want to see. They want to see their owners sink or swim. They want to see their owners go out and spend as much money as they humanly can to build great teams within Major League Soccer and grow the league in general and compete with Liga MX and kind of everything in between. You can even get kind of less, I think, some people might say that that's a little bit of a touchy subject, the salary cap and everything, but we can even step back from that and just say maybe the introduction of more DPs, more U22 spots, stuff like that. Maybe we get MLS rosters are allowed to have 5 DPs and 4 U22 spots or something like that, right? To make these rosters more competitive and more balanced at the global level. Maybe, one of the issues we've seen with Zlatan and Didier Drogba in the past, and I'm pretty sure Thierry Henry as well, is the issue of playing on turf. Maybe we see all MLS fields being grass fields instead of turf fields. Like that is something that I can possibly see being a rule change coming out of this Leo Messi move to Inter Miami for sure. I think one thing that we do definitely know is that CONCACAF, Major League Soccer, Liga MX, even Inter Miami and everyone in between want to see Leo Messi playing in this new format, which is going to begin in 2024, of now what we're going to call the CONCACAF Champions Cup, right? This CCL, pretty much what it was, CONCACAF Champions League before this, but it's now the CONCACAF Champions Cup, which is something we're not going to touch on this episode because Leo Messi's coming to MLS, and that's what we're talking about this episode. But I think everyone wants to see Messi in this new Champions Cup format because guess what? That means more eyes are on this new Champions Cup format. Everyone's getting a split share of the money. CONCACAF's getting their payday, and kind of everything in between, right? Everyone wants to see Messi playing at the highest level, just like I'm sure, it was the same thought, and it's still the same thought for guys like Insigne, Bernardeschi, Gareth Bale, and Giorgio Chiellini, and all of that, right? That's really it for that. I just think everyone wants to see Messi playing in the best competition in this region, and that's that. What also comes, obviously, is more money. Like I said before with Beckham, it came with Beckham as well. More money for more sponsorships, more marketing opportunities, more jersey sales, more ticket sales. I think one of the funniest things that I've seen is that, and many people are talking about this on Twitter, but Inter Miami versus Cruz Azul in July for Leagues Cup. The lowest ticket before the MESSI announcement was $29. Now the lowest ticket to buy for that game is $329, a $300 increase because Leo Messi's coming to town, and that's what I'm saying of Major League Soccer's thrilled with this deal, Inter Miami's thrilled with this deal, and even Liga MX, right, where they're splitting profits from Leagues Cup and Champions Cup and all that stuff. Like they're going to be thrilled by this, and obviously it impacts, right? If Inter Miami make it to CONCACAF Champions Cup and they draw a Haitian club, right, that we saw with Austin FC this year, that Haitian club is going to want MESSI coming to town because that just means more money for their pockets, their club, their league, everything in between. Now for Inter Miami, it's such an interesting thing because I think MESSI coming to their club in 2023 isn't going to mean anything. They're down bad. They're the second worst team points-wise in Major League Soccer and the worst team points-wise in the Eastern Conference. We've seen in recent seasons how a slow start to an MLS season will impact you later on and even have you avoid and miss the playoff berth altogether when it comes down to playoff time in Major League Soccer. I can see that very much being the case for Inter Miami in 2023. So I think right now, if I'm Inter Miami and Messi's coming to town, what all my focus on is, like I said, trying to get into CONCACAF Champions Cup. And at this point, that looks like it's going to be coming through either the U.S. Open Cup, which I will be very honest with. I am watching Inter Miami beat Birmingham Legion FC right now, 1-0 in the 95th minute. We'll see if that holds true, and that is still, at this point in time of me speaking, an opportunity for Miami to make Champions Cup and win a trophy with Messi year one. Or through, like I said before, the Cruz Azul game within Leagues Cup. Now, I think that Leagues Cup is going to be a little bit more difficult to win, especially because I do think Inter Miami's roster still has some holes, and I don't see them competing with the best of MLS or Liga MX at this point. So I do think the Open Cup's probably their best shot at that. So I think right now Inter Miami need to look to the long-term future and not the short-term, what 2023 is. Inter Miami is going to have every opportunity to build a squad within Major League Soccer that is going to compete with the best of MLS at the bare minimum. I think they're also going to have the opportunity to compete with the global game of, right, like we're going to talk more Champions Cup and we're going to talk more Liga MX squads, which, right now I think MLS teams are trying to focus on of overcoming that giant like Seattle did in 2022. So I think at this point, that needs to be the long-term focus for Inter Miami is Messi's going to bring along his friends, right? Sergio Busquets is going to most likely be coming to town. Tata Martino might be the next manager of Inter Miami, which, by the way, I called on this podcast about a month ago, so shout out me. As long, with maybe guys like, Angel Di Maria from the Argentine national team and everything in between, right? So Messi's going to bring names along with what David Beckham's done, Jorge Mas and Chris Henderson and everyone else within that Inter Miami organization who deserve all the props. I think right now the focus needs to be on the next 2-3 years for Inter Miami and making sure that, their name is at the top of MLS standings, points, wins, trophies, all of that over the next 2-3 seasons. The last thing that I just want to say is the fan base or the other fan bases in Major League Soccer. Because, right, we can tie this all together by saying that as the league's growing, the league's getting more credibilities, more eyes, more money. So are other teams, clubs, and fan bases within Major League Soccer. Every fan base is going to benefit from this, even though, it may not feel that way, or if Inter Miami goes on to be like the LA Galaxy of the late 2000s, it may suck seeing Inter Miami win everything. That's if that's the path that this goes down. But at the end of the day, MLS is going to grow, and your club in Major League Soccer is only going to benefit and grow as well from a move like this. Now, if I'm a fan of certain teams across Major Major League Soccer and I'm looking at the current DPs I have signed on my roster, or, open DP holes that I have on my roster, I might be an angry fan. I currently, if you listen to this podcast before, I might be an angry fan already with my current MLS fandom, but that's a whole other story. I'm just saying that I think this MLS deal and Messi to Miami deal is now going to push other MLS clubs, ownerships, GMs, sporting directors, whatever they are, to do better, to do more, to now compete with the on and off the field things that Lionel Messi brings. Wrapping things up here before I get over to Jason and Jason's thoughts about Messi. This is the MLS Aces Podcast because I do know that obviously what comes with this, like I've said, is more eyes, more ears, more people listening and taking in MLS content. If you've never listened to this before, again, this is a non-normal way of us doing this podcast, and I want that to be known. So go back and check out some of our older stuff for sure if you like some of the ideas and like what Jason and I have to say. If not, then, just move on, act like nothing happened. But if you do like it, then definitely check out some of our older stuff, subscribe, and definitely check out some of the stuff that is going to come in the future when we do have a normal episode where, myself, Jason, Sam, we're sitting down, whether it's us three or with guests, and we're talking about, the games and news and stuff going on around MLS and US soccer as a whole. So I thank you guys for listening, for watching, subscribe, love you, and Jason, take it away.
Hello, beautiful people. Welcome to a special edition of the MLS Aces Podcast where we all get to monologue for about 10 minutes for your entertainment. So we're going to see how that goes. Hopefully you enjoy it. Please leave a review if you do or don't. Guess that will give us some good feedback. Anyway, you've probably heard me here before. I am Jason. I pretty much am on here every week, so it shouldn't be that much of a surprise. But yeah, so we're just going to do our thing and then put them together and, see what happens. Anyway, I've probably rambled long enough now, so let me talk about soccer here. Let's just hope it goes well. I'd like to start with the U.S. Open Cup, which might surprise some of you because it's a pretty big day today. But I'm a Fire fan, as you probably already know. I'm the one on the pod supposed to talk about the Fire. And we had a game last night versus Houston in the U.S. Open Cup. And, yeah, I'm talking about the U.S. Open Cup. It's very U.S. soccer of me to not open with the big bomb news. But we lost 4-1 to Houston yesterday. At home, it's brutal. FC Cincinnati went, they continued winning, blah, blah, whatever, good for them. They're a very good team. We know it. We've all known it. They're dominating the league. They're going to be fine. But this loss for the Fire just hurts, man. Like, we were home. There's a lot of bad things about this game. And sure, could you say that the reffing was horrendous? Yeah. Am I confused why we still don't have VAR in this tournament? 100%. I don't get it. Did we still lose 4-1, though? Yeah. Did we play pretty poorly overall? Were we down immediately? All of these things are true. And so it's hard for me to sit here and be like, well, we deserve to win. Or, should we have maybe gotten a penalty for that handball? Probably. Should we have definitely gotten a penalty for, I think it was Brian Rodriguez getting brought down in the box by the goalie? I mean, it was clear as day to me. That one was 100%. But regardless, the performance wasn't there and it needed to be there. We didn't play well enough. And losing 4-1 reflects that. I mean, we were down so quickly. We were always on the back foot. It didn't actually matter. Sure, things could have probably gone our way a little bit better. Do I think it changes the complete outcome? Probably not. And I don't really like to do that anyway because, the Fire in one of the most important games, arguably the most important game in probably 6 years, blew it. And it was on them. Houston did what they needed to do. Did calls go wrong ways? Sure. Was the reffing bad? Yeah, but it's at the end of the day, that's not what we need to take away from this. We got to take away from the fact that in this game, which is a massive game where all of our players should have come out swinging, where we were at home and rested. We aren't starting a lot of these guys in the last couple of weeks before these games. This is an important game, and we lost, and it's upsetting, and it's the same old shit. But I'm probably going to just move on because, there's no one to talk to me about this right now. But let's talk about some incredible news, because today it was announced that Messi is coming to MLS officially. He's going to play for Inter Miami, and Miami is one of the worst teams in the league. And I can say that as a Fire fan because we're one of the worst teams in the league, and I know what it looks like. But this thing just flips the league on its head. And I kind of want to talk about it from a league perspective. I think next week, probably when we all are together, we can discuss, on field more and how this will impact Miami, how this will impact the league in a actual standings scenario, because it certainly makes their team better. But this is just massive for the league. I have Chicago Fire season tickets, and I watched today as the price of these tickets are skyrocketing all over the league. Everywhere you look, there are minimum tickets that are costing $200, $300, $400, $500. I think there was the LAFC game versus Miami is up to $500 starting ticket. The section that I sit in is up to $1,500, was the only tickets I could find. Soldier Field on a Wednesday night sold out in an hour after they opened up the upper deck area. This is insane. Like, anyone who plays Miami, including just Miami itself, is getting massive ticket boosts, massive amount of money. They're going to sell out every stadium. They're going to open the extra tiers probably, I would assume, for every stadium, because there's no way anyone's letting a single dollar sit on the sit. And it's just like the world is now watching. Like, the world is looking at Messi. I mean, Messi won the World Cup less than 6 months ago, 7 maybe. And now he's going to be playing in MLS. He will probably win Ballon d'Or, which is insane to say as an Inter Miami player. But but overall, like, the fact that this guy is here, he brings so many eyes. He brings billions, millions and millions of people looking at him every week. And they're going to be looking at MLS. And so it's huge. I mean, think about, at least for me, like, I got a young goalkeeper, Chris Brady, as leading the Fire. And imagine him stopping a Messi free kick in extra time. Like, now a million eyes are now seeing Chris Brady, who's actually a very good keeper, and people are going to be getting discovered. And that's a little ode to Tom and Sam, who don't think anyone watches MLS and discovers players. But from, like, this large perspective, we're going to be seeing some just massive moments. I just can't believe it, man. Like, Messi's going to be playing in Cincinnati. He's going to be playing in Kansas City. I mean, the guy's going to be playing in Portland. People everywhere, like, these stadiums are going to be packed. It's going to be loud. There's going to be signs. There's going to be people from all over the world coming. People from, like, Inter Miami's Twitter. This is a little fun note. Inter Miami's Twitter averages, I saw someone, I think, posted it on Twitter or Reddit or something. They average, like, 19 people a day in, like, adding people. And when it got announced, they added 10,000 followers. And it's probably gone up since I looked. That is sort of the numbers we're looking at here, just on the low end. Like, it's just absurd that this is going to just boost that much and build and build and build, and just create bigger moments. I mean, I truly think this is probably, to date, the biggest moment in MLS history. There's some others that are probably close to it. There's some very good ones. But overall, I can't think of a moment that's going to absolutely shift the way this league is looked at and seen, and the amount of people looking at it, as this will, including people in the U.S. It's going to be talked about for a very long time. I'm really looking forward to talking to Sam and Tom about it next week. I think that will be a really good conversation. Give us our opinions, together where we can kind of actually discuss things. And from an on-field perspective, like, who knows when he actually starts playing, right? I don't think it'll be till August, if not September. It kind of just depends on fitness. He probably wants a little bit of time off. But, like, regardless, the impact is already being made. You're seeing it. And when he actually takes the field, like, it's going to be massive. It's going to be even larger than probably this moment. When he takes the field in an Inter Miami shirt, we're all going to be looking at that. We're all going to be watching it. And, yeah, so we're bummed we couldn't do a full podcast because, the sky is on fire in New York. But I think this might be a kind of fun one to hear what we each have to say individually before, like, on this massive news topic before we actually discuss together. So you're getting very organic views. It's very weird for me because I don't normally just talk to my phone like this. But yeah, I really hope you all enjoyed. Thank you for listening. Give us your thoughts. I think it could be something interesting to do for, like, big topics as, like, short little episodes before we talk about, together. But yeah, so just let us know your thoughts and what you think. Thanks for listening to me just ramble. I hope I didn't talk too fast or too slow. I don't even know. Put me on slow speed or high speed, I guess. I don't know. Thanks for listening. Peace out.